Hmm. Hey everyone, good evening. Just waiting for our presenter to join from New Zealand Rugby. Yeah.
You hear me all right?
Yep. Can hear you, Louis. Over to you, mate. Away you go. Lead us off.
Let me share my screen. Perfect. Kia ora, everyone. Welcome to the Rugby Explorer website creation webinar for the free version. It's important to note that Anna's already mentioned that we'll do a separate webinar for the pro version of this later on down the line. But yeah, so I'm Louis Caligari. I work for New Zealand Rugby in the participation development space in community rugby, and one of the tasks I've had is running the free version of this Rugby Explorer website creation. My email is also there, so if you've got any questions after this webinar, you can send it through to me and I can help you out as well. So the purpose of this webinar is to provide PUs, clubs and schools with guidance on how to set up a free website in Rugby Explorer. And yeah, as I've mentioned already, the pro will be separate to this. So the agenda for this evening, we'll run through what an RX website is, what the free version offers, with some comparisons to the pro version as well. We'll then show some examples of different pro versions and free versions to give you an idea. Then run through briefly how you can set up your website and then go through any questions at the end. So what is an RX website? As you know already, Rugby Explorer is a digital platform that enables fans, players and coaches and administrators to follow, participate and manage every facet of rugby. The soft launch for this was on the 1st of October, as I'm sure you're all aware. And one of the next stages now is to run through website creation. The RX websites give any club admins the ability to manage any free entity website or a pro if you choose to, where you can upload news articles, videos, fixtures and results, contacts, and there's also a space for participants and other members of your club to register. Please note that any previous websites that you may have can still be used, but the Rugby Explorer website that you create is where all your registrations will occur. So that's why it's handy to have some form of a website for your club or your PU, as this is where your participants will need to register. So what does the free version offer? The free version gives you a chance to upload news articles, videos, fixtures, results, and a place for participants to register, as we've covered. You can also connect your social media channels into your website, so people can access your Facebook, YouTube, X, and so on. There's also a link which I've attached here, which you can access after this webinar, which gives some more information on how to do this and what you can include. You can also customize your website with your primary and secondary colors. It can be as accurate as you like. You can use your hex color codes and make it exactly personable to your website. You can add your logo, which appears on your site, contact details such as the address of your club, your phone number and email, and also, as we've mentioned, media items. Again, there's a useful link there. So comparing to the Pro version, obviously the free version is zero cost, with the Pro version being $720 a year, which is $60 a month. You need to connect a credit card to set up the Pro version, which is like an entity payment. You can't share content across the network in the free, whereas in the Pro, you have the ability to share content across the network. So this means that any articles, videos, or images you upload can be accessed and seen, not accessed, sorry, can just be viewed by Australia, Rugby Australia and Rugby in America in their CMS as well. The free offers no custom navigation. So if you want to, depending on how developed your website is, the Pro version would definitely offer more flexibility in that sense. You can tailor your website to your purpose and style, such as drop-down menus, sub-pages, and things like that. It's important to note that once your website's set up, it will automatically bring across any competitions and fixtures that have been added in RX. So that's one thing that for the free and Pro, when you set yourself up, you won't have to worry about. I'm just going to run through some examples now to show you the difference in the two versions. Mike, can you just let me know if you can see that?
Yep, that's all good.
Yep, cool. So here we have a Pro version to start with. So you can see you've got the news, fixtures, events, membership, and register. This is an Australian example, which is already set up. So here we have events, which you can look through in more detail after this webinar. But the main difference is this bit here. So drop down pages, you can access club info, which has this custom navigation here. All these features are something that we don't have in the free version. Free version example is here, which is a club in Australia. You have your news, items, videos, fixtures, contact page with the social media channels there as shown before. So now we're going to move on to setting up your website. So once you've been granted admin access to your website, the first step is you go into your admin portal, which will take you to this bit on the left here, where you can then go into your provincial union or your club, which then gives you this drop-down bit with details, contacts, and then your website. This is the bit we're running through. This is where you can add your color, your secondary color, your URL path, which is already populated. Here you see your subscription. If you wanted to upgrade to Pro, this is where you do it as well. And this is where you can add in your social medias as well. Then we can move on to details and contacts. So simply just click on detail or click on contact. You can upload your logo. You can add your address, your contact, and on the map, there's an automatic map which will show your location of your PU club or school. Now we'll move on to media items and videos. So this is where you can upload news articles, images, videos in the CMS, which is at the bottom left in this red circle here, which we'll go into now. So the example we're using is for West Coast. So as you can see here, I'm in the CMS part of Rugby Explorer. So we have the dashboard, media items, which has all the different media items that's been uploaded from different clubs and entities in using RX. Pages, this is just the ones we have access to at the moment, and then asset manager with a helpful frequently asked questions at the bottom. So once you're in the dashboard, you can see your media items, and then in the media items, we can create media item where you name your item, which I'll just call a test for now. The owner, West Coast, link existing author, which is Louis Canigare. Tag, we could give Rugby World Cup. You can create tags or add anything on here. West Coast, story type, you can have any type of news article that you're creating. So we could just go general for the purpose of this. Create media item. It will then take you into this area where you have a slug. You can change the date of the public display date. So what comes up on the website, the content owner, and then you insert your image here. You can then give it a caption. You can also insert a video. And then the content of our news article is in the text box like this. We recommend that you just expand it, or it's easier if you expand it for when you're typing. Rugby Explorer is really good. If you copy and paste loads of information, it goes in really well. So there's not much to change once it's in. You can also add images here. You can insert videos, images, posts on your social medias, and a HTML blob. You then just keep running through the page. You can add a summary, tags published on what site, and so on. It's really important to then save the changes, any changes you make. You can save it as a draft, you can archive it, and then if you want to publish it onto Rugby Explorer, you must press save changes, and then it will come up on the website. It's important to note that once you post your article, it might not come straight through on your website because of caching, but if you just keep refreshing, it eventually will come through. Just make sure if you're doing any practice ones that you're saving it as a draft. As we learned at NZR when we were giving it a go, we accidentally published a test article to everyone, which we weren't meant to. So yeah, that's mainly the main part of the free version. It's really simple and easy to use. We've taught ourselves to use it in the last couple of weeks, just adding news articles, fixtures, adding contacts. And yeah, so these are some questions we've had so far. So can I have a custom domain name? You can set up or move across a custom domain name through Rugby Australia if you have the pro website. But if you have the free website, then you won't be able to use this. So if you have this on one of your old websites, it's something you won't be able to then access. Can I use the RX fixtures and results function in another website? You can't, which may cause any inconvenience, but this is what Rugby Explorer we've now moved to. You can build your website in the pro version and then go back to free, but it's important to note that once you go back to free, you only have the capabilities of the free version, so you won't be able to access any of your content you've created in the pro version. So some people may think that you could pay for the pro, create your website, and then go back to the free, but that wouldn't be the case. You'd have to keep having the pro version to access any of those things. How do you get admin access? All the PU system administrators have already been given access, and then the PU admins will then give access to any clubs or schools. The website is available in the RX app. Depending on what device you have, it looks slightly different, but from what we've experienced so far, the website looks really crisp and clean on the phone or on an iPad or something like that as well, so it works really well. And who can create a website finally? RX has the ability for any club, school and association to build a website. So that's everything we've covered there, Mike. I don't know if you want to now go into the chat.
Thanks, Louis. So there's a few questions in the chat, so we'll probably just take a little bit of time to answer those. One of the questions that has come up a couple of times is about how do people actually access the admin portal. So do you want to just show your profile page, and we'll just walk people through how admin access is granted, and that's how they find their way to their club or school website. So everyone on the call, if you've been able to create your profile in Rugby Explorer and your club or school has nominated you as an admin user, what you'll get in your profile page is on the left-hand side is a link to an admin portal. So we'll just see if we can show that.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go. So Louis is pointing to that now. So if you've only created a profile, but you haven't been given admin access to your club or school, then you won't be able to see that admin portal button. But if you have been given access, and if you click on that, so Louis will just click on that, that'll take you through to obviously what he was showing before. And in that top left-hand corner is where there's a drop-down box which shows all the privileges that you've been given. In most cases, people will just have one level of access to their club or school. In Louis' case, and a number of us, we've got multiple accesses at the moment. So ideally, that'll just take you straight to where your club or school is. So that's the first thing, is create a profile. Once you've created a profile, then ensure that you have been given admin access by your provincial union. Or it might be that someone in your club or school has been given admin access, and then they can give admin access to you. So talk to whoever's your sort of super admin user in your club or school, and they can give you the access if you need it.
And then once, as Mike said, you can see who you have access to here. So we're just going to use West Coast as an example. You can then go on administration and then into My Provincial Union, where it comes up with your details. So you've got a logo, address, contacts, website, which is where you do your colours, as I showed, and then clubs and admins, which is just the examples we have. We also, on this area here on the left, you can go down, and this is how you get into your CMS. So you go on website, click on CMS, it will redirect you to a new tab, and then this is how you then access your admin, media items, pages, tags, and so on. And this is the same for the pro and the free version.
Okay, just a couple of other questions I'm going to try and answer while we're on here. Some which are not necessarily related to website access, but we'll still answer them while we're here. Does RX integrate with Xero? The short answer is that it will once we hit the 2025 season. So it will integrate with Xero and MYOB, as some clubs in particular use that now, and so we want to continue to provide that. There's a question about whether schools will be given access. Schools and clubs are essentially treated the same. They're a rugby entity under RX, and so schools will get the same access as clubs do, so they can manage all of their participants, players, coaches, team managers, etc. But also create offerings for the 2025 season. There's a question about, for those that have invested in a sporty website, will the RX site be able to replicate this on the RX Pro? The short answer is potentially. It depends on what you've had built and what your needs are. So if we do a strict sort of side-by-side comparison, arguably it will be able to replicate whatever you've got now, but it depends if you've had a custom build. As Louis outlined, it's not critical for you to migrate across if you've got a sporty website at the moment. But what it won't have is the integration with your fixtures. So if people want to follow the fixtures, that won't necessarily be as easy if they haven't migrated to an RX website where all the integration exists. Just moving on. Some clubs don't have a credit card. Are there any other payment options for moving to the Pro version? The short answer is no. It is a credit card approach. If that becomes an issue, though, that may be something that we can discuss with Rugby Australia about other payment options. But certainly that's how it's built at the moment, so that it facilitates sort of easy payment and opening up that Pro website as soon as you've paid. Couple of questions about using the registration process. So at the moment, we're doing a just-in-time training approach. So at the moment, we've wanted to support people with learning how to create their profiles, how to build out their club websites, etc. Issues around how you open up registrations for the new year will come later in the year, early next year, when people are ready to actually start building those. The issue is if we provide the training too early, then the risk is that we'll have to repeat it because people would have forgotten it if they're not using it immediately. So it's a just-in-time approach with more training being provided by NZR to PUs to clubs and schools, and then webinars like this, so people can also got a reference guide to go through. Just a question about privacy. So the privacy considerations remain the same. At the moment, people, when they register through Sporty, it all flows through to the National Rugby database. So all the privacy and personal information protection that exists around those respective systems remains with RX. Obviously, when we open up admin access to others within clubs and schools, they do so under the conditions of respecting personal information. So there's some terms and conditions that go with those that are given admin access rights. Couple of questions about website facilitating communication between coaches, players, and parents. So the website itself won't, but as teams are formed and team admins are appointed, then there'll be the ability for them to communicate, for the clubs to communicate with segments within the club or school, down to teams, parents, coaches, etc. In time, it'll also, probably from 2026, be looking at a team management type communication system. For those of you that use Heya or something similar, making sure that that's replicated, but in a secure way where it's all integrated, so we don't have to sign up or sign in again.
Mike, there's quite a few questions asking about when schools and clubs get access from PUs and whether the PUs know how they give access.
Yep, so the short answer is that PUs engage with clubs and schools prior to the 1st of October. So it's possible that people on this call may not have been who they engage with in your club as the super admin user. So if you are still looking for access, just go back to your PU and request it, but do so through your club around who would most likely have the administrator access. Couple of questions about registration data. So all data that's housed from previous years or captured from previous years either existed in Sporty or it existed in the National Rugby database. It wasn't one and the same. And so we have everyone's registration records from the last 20 odd years, I think it is, in the National Rugby database. But there is some Sporty data that we don't have, and that's all being migrated across and will be housed in the National Rugby database. And then in time, that'll be pushed forward into the RX system. So for example, in time, you'll be able to see who you played for, how often you played, potentially match day information like tries, red cards, yellow cards, blue cards, etc. Already you should be able to see your previous registration history. And so in time, we want to try and provide a much more fuller picture to you through your RX profile about your playing or participation history. That'll also extend to education as well in time once we have implemented a new LMS.
There's a question about sevens tournaments before Christmas.
Yeah, for those that are running sevens, the PUs have identified who's running sevens, and we've been working with those clubs or schools or PUs who are running sevens events, and already we've had a number working sort of deliberately into that space who have set up their offerings, set up registrations, and have already delivered sort of sevens events using RX. We're in a slow rollout of that, so we're starting to see more and more capability being used sort of week on week. In terms of using the system to register social members, so not just players, coaches, team managers, you will be able to use it for your entire membership base. So whether they're just supporters, they're volunteers or administrators, players, coaches, team managers, whatever the case may be, you'll be able to use that. And we're also looking to extend it so that you can use it for your touch modules or any kind of festivals that you're looking to deliver.
Question about whether someone's website will be live after setup, when it will be. As soon as you start publishing articles, and the more news articles you publish will be as soon as you do one, that's when the website will be live. But for in terms of when someone searches up keywords like West Coast, for example, the more news articles and the more the website's populated is when it will start showing more for the general public. But as soon as you publish one article, that's where people can then start seeing the website.
Just looking at some of the other questions.
Team formation and players in the database, which is that the Matchday app, Mike?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. So what we're showing tonight is the RX website, but what you will also be able to download as of today is, or as from the 1st of October, is the Rugby Explorer app, which is where you can also access your profile and you can register for participation and time when registration's open. So you can download that through your Apple or Android phone and sign in or create a profile through that app. For those that are going to be managing teams, there's also a Rugby Explorer Matchday app, and that's where you'll do all of your live scoring, team management, and the like. Not dissimilar to what you do now. That's already been deployed and been tested in the New Zealand environment. So we ran that at a tournament on the 12th of October down in Christchurch for Māori Rugby. And so that's, again, sort of just integrated functionality. You can also follow teams and competitions in that in your own Rugby Explorer app. So if you're interested in following your team or someone else's team, you obviously can go and find them, sign up, and they'll the results will push live to your app as they're live scored on the sideline. In terms of further updates and features planned for the RX website, we will continue to work with Rugby Explorer and Rugby Australia on what additional features might need to be added to the website as we deploy it. There is nothing at this stage that's necessarily planned, but will be part of the sort of broader release of new functionality and capability from Rugby Australia as they roll it out across their own community, but also USA and New Zealand. In terms of feedback we received from users since the launch, so whilst it's only been a very small period of time since we've launched, there's always been a few sort of niggles for people as they have created their profiles, mainly because there's been quite a few that have had duplicate records. And so that's been a big work on, is to try and address all the duplicate records. The system will help us minimize those. In terms of the Matchday functionality, feedback around that's been really positive. We had a really successful launch in Te Waipounamu and Christchurch on the 12th of October, and we've seen already a number of events that have been created, usually for sevens, where people have successfully been able to create teams, register into teams, and then use some of the functionality during their events.
Few questions on people investing in a sporty website, and will the RX website be able to replicate this on the Pro version?
Yeah, no, I think I've answered that.
Cool.
Yeah. Might throw to Harpe if you're able to come on.
Howdy.
Thanks, Harpe. Just a question about the multi-factor authentication method.
Yeah, so if
What
you're
options they have around that?
an administrator of a club or a school, you won't be able to take the multi-factor authentication off. If you are not an admin, you will be able to remove that from your profile. So on your profile page, you'll have an option sort of halfway down the page where you can turn the authenticator off.
Cool. And if you can, Harpe, can you just talk to what further sort of ongoing support we're providing for PUs, clubs and schools over the sort of next 3 months?
Yep, so I've seen a couple of comments there around whether provincial unions have been engaged and what updates they've been given. So all provincial unions have been part of this process for the last sort of 6-7 months, and they will be reaching out to you if they haven't already. Some clubs and schools have been in the system. Admins have been administrators have been assigned to the clubs and schools. So there's a bit of work that's already been happening within some of these clubs or schools. If you haven't received any comms from your provincial union, just reach out to them. They have information that they can share with you.
Okay. Just having a look. There's one question, Harpe, that I cannot answer. It's a technical one around the domain name. I'm just looking for it. What is the restriction of a custom domain name based on for the free website based on? We appoint the existing DNS name to the site listed in the website tab. Is it just a certificate that's an issue? I don't know the answer to that.
I think from the free website, it's a pre-populated custom domain name, whereas with the Pro, they can, through Rugby Australia, change it to, like, for example, their previous one.
Okay. So Joel, I'm not sure if that answers your question, but that's an attempt at answering it. So question from Michael around, is there any analytical reporting features that help track player engagement and participation? There are a number of reports available in your admin portal in terms of membership and participation. We're also looking to do some additional work around providing more analytics, particularly at the PU level, so they can support clubs with trends that they're seeing, not just at a club level, but across both the PU, but also the country. So probably some layers of analytics that we're looking to provide support for there. Question from Paula, just around fees and accounting. How do you access this reporting, etc.? So I think I've answered part of that, but I'm assuming that when you're talking about fees, Paula, you're talking to fees that we'll be charging for registrations. So when you create your registration offering, either towards the end of this year or beginning of next year for your club, be it for junior rugby or teenage rugby or senior rugby, you'll be determining what are the fees that you're charging at that point. And then when people are registering, they will be registering into your offering. They'll either be able to pay by Stripe, so by credit card. We're looking at some alternative payment options as well, as we see now, which is Poly, potentially Afterpay, but there's just a few security concerns around that. Or if you choose to pay later, and with arrangements with the club, there is a workaround in that you can choose not to pay at that point. And you can, that's if the club or school decides to provide that opportunity to pay later or through an alternative arrangement. So paying won't be a barrier to registration if the club doesn't want it to be.
the question from Fred, who said, are you providing support and set up articles with New Zealand context? I attached my email in the front of that PowerPoint. But so yeah, feel free to send me an email and I can help you where I can. And if I'm not sure, I can go externally and find and ask a question for you as well. So yeah, for the free version of the website, just feel free to email me and I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah.
Did you touch on registering social members and other roles?
Yep, so I've answered that. So a question about whether the app will allow you to admin access data the same as the browser version. The short answer is no. The admin portal is only available on desktop. It's not available in the admin in the app. The only exception to that is if you're a team manager and you're using the Matchday app, then you will have access to all of your squad to be able to put them into teams so that you can obviously put them on the field and then start live scoring. Question about the account verification will only send an email with a 6-digit number code to an email address, although it says it can be to a phone. That's not an option to set up. So the short answer is that at the moment it is email only, but we are exploring whether or not it can be sent to by SMS. What we're looking for is a provider that's going to do it at a reasonable cost. The costs that we've been quoted in New Zealand are not really viable at this stage, so we're looking for some cheaper options. But ideally, it will be that you can have it sent either to email or to your phone. A few questions about the Pro website. That's probably a topic for another day, because in most cases, most clubs will only need the free version. Some clubs may want to move to the Pro version. That's a lot more complicated, and so there is some detail available in this pack around the differences and some examples that Louis talked to, so some links, so you go and explore that. But what we're looking to do is provide another level of support for those who do want to invest in a Pro website and about how to set that up. Okay. Okay, so Sarah's just asked if I can clarify what I said about the admin portal only on desktop and not the app. How will this work on game day for a last minute junior registration when down at the field? Does this mean they'll be unable to play since I don't carry my desktop to the field? So the short answer is no, because they will be able to register through their app into a team. And depending on how it's been set up, it might be that they'll become available immediately to that team manager to then put into the team itself. But it depends on how it's been set up by the club. So we'll know more about that, those sort of precise settings, sort of closer to Christmas, and provide good advice around how to deal with, what's a realistic sort of situation. But certainly there's been lots of examples of where people have signed up on the sideline and been able to find their way onto a team right at that moment. Okay. So just a question about debit success, Hape. That's bank transfer, right?
Debit success, bank transfer.
Yeah. So the short answer is that we're looking at a bank transfer option, so that clubs can offer that for their members if they wish. So we're just looking at what's the appropriate sort of provider for that. In terms of communication to members, there is the ability through RX, through the admin portal, to be able to push messaging to club members. That isn't currently a newsletter function, but it has the ability to drop news into people's inboxes, so they get updates on what's happening into the club. In time, there will be either a hyperlink or a newsletter function if there's strong demand for it. But currently, certainly in Australia, they don't seem to use it. They seem to use the current sort of push notifications that it's already built into the system. So again, that'll be something we'll just monitor to see whether or not there's demand for that. Question a bit from a school. They administer multiple codes through Sporty. Will this new process mean we need to run a separate RX website, or will it link to Sporty? The short answer is you won't necessarily need to run a separate website per se, because it's really just around actually providing the sort of membership and competition management system. But there won't be an integration between RX and Sporty. So rugby, like a number of other sports, will just be using a different sort of membership system. So cricket uses a different one, hockey uses a different one, football uses a different one. Rugby was using Sporty, but we've moved on. So what it will mean is that schools won't need to register their participants, because participants should be doing that themselves. 0 to 12, mum or dad or legal guardian will have to do it for their children. But from 13 onwards, children can raise, or young adults can raise their own profiles and then register into the game. All that schools will have to do is ensure that those registrations find their way into teams, and then put them into teams that are entered into competitions.
All they'll need is an email address if they're going to register themselves. We had a question earlier on that, which as soon as you're 13 or above, you can, but you just need an email address.
So question about, again, this is probably not website related, but happy to keep answering these, is can you configure the questions of players asked in registration? The short answer is yes. There is a number of opportunities to configure the questions that you might pose to participants. At each level of the system, NZR, provincial union, club or school, there's the ability for each sort of level to ask up to 3 questions, which you can tailor to meet the needs of your offering and also your community. So that's something that you'll have discretion over once we get to the point of creating the registration offerings. Okay. Happy to take any more questions. I think there's a few that people have answered themselves. There's a few that are probably not for this webinar, but maybe for another one, once we get into delivering the Pro version, for those that want to take advantage of it. One question about how will the general public know what the club website is to register? So there'll be a number of different ways that people will register. Some of it will be through the website, as they do now, but a lot of it will be through their app, where they will have their own profile. They'll know that junior rugby is starting and they want to register their child for it. They'll go and find the club that they want to go and play for. They'll work through the registration questions for the offering that they're interested in, and that's how they'll register into rugby for 2025. For those that want to transition their websites from their current provider across to RX, you'll just need to do some notifications to your members, some posts, for example, about how you're moving to a new website and the new website address, and then just promote that as they come across.
In terms of Katie's question with the design of the free version, apart from colours and your own logo and different contacts to everyone else, that's pretty much the design. As we said, it's a bit limiting, but for some clubs, that's all they'll need. The Pro version offers a lot more in terms of design, but it all has the similar feel to it throughout Pro and Free.
Okay, cool. Just a couple of questions about club names, and I think Steph from NZR has answered that. But certainly the short answer is that if your name is not correct, or there is colloquially you want to change that to a much shorter version, then by all means just reach out.
Yep. Just to add to that, the PUs won't be able to change the club or the school name. But the email address there that Steve's put in, that will come through to us, and we can change that for you.
Okay. So I think the questions are starting to dry up. Ideally, we've answered enough. Oh, yeah, just a new one that's just come in. So can a club website just link through to the new registration? The short answer is yes. So if you have another website provider, all you need to create on that website is, what's the term, Louis?
What's that, sorry?
So we have to create the login link for RX. So it's just an item, isn't it? I think is what that's called. Yep. So you just create an item that sits on your page, so they know, click here, and then that takes it through to RX to register, or to sign in and then register, and then they can find their way through to registering from that point. So that's all you need to do on your website, whether it's an RX one or not. Okay, so probably look to close it there. We'll be sharing the recording. Louis provided his email address, so there's opportunity for follow-up questions. Key things from here is if you don't have admin rights at the moment, engage with whoever your super user is in your club or school, and if that is you and you still don't have admin rights, then engage with the PU and they can extend those rights to you. They may have been just waiting for a confirmation of a name before they've done so. Once you've got that, then you can go and have a look in the admin portal. You can see, as Louis shown, a space to go and update all your club or school details, your contact details, and if you are going to create a website, you can do it in there. What we've provided tonight is just the sort of guidance around how to do the free version, which we think for most clubs and schools will be all that they need. But there is the option for those that want something that's a bit more elaborate, to be able to upgrade to a pro version, and we'll be looking to provide some additional comms for that for those that are interested at a later point. It is relatively easy to move between the two. You don't lose anything in terms of the stuff that you built, albeit you may not be able to push it out. So you may want to just take your time before you sort of launch into a pro version. More comms and support to come under a just-in-time approach as we get closer to sort of Christmas and people will be starting to think about creating their registration offerings for next year, and providing some support for sort of club and school administrators around how to do that. Okay, we'll call it there. Thanks everyone for dialing in. Some really good numbers. Thanks for your interest. And if you've got any questions, just reach out or talk to your PU. Thanks, team.
Thanks, everyone.